Hi guys. So maybe you know that, but it's actually very hard to find accommodation in Germany, especially in student cities. Like, yeah, I also struggle to find accommodation here. And we as international students, we face extra challenges, especially when we're going to Germany for the first time. We may not be in Germany at the time, or we don't have any previous landlord references, which can make us actually less reliable. But there are some good practices and strategies, nothing very complex, but they can like increase your chances of getting an accommodation here. And I'll explain them to you guys in this video. First thing, you need to choose between the three main types of accommodation, which are student dorms, Wohngemeinschaft, and like apartments, one room apartments. So the main differences between them that the student dorm is usually run like all organized by the university itself. They're usually the cheapest option here, but they are like full. Like most of the times they are full, so you have to wait like usually whole semesters to get into one, like 3 semesters or more, depending on the university. There's also Wohngemeinschaft, which is usually like a shared flat and you live with other people. And these are like you will find them in the private market and they're usually like a little cheaper, like not so cheap as student dorms, but it's a very popular option here in Germany. And the last one is the apartment. So this one is not so cheap as the previous options, but it's also okay. You have more privacy. So if that's important to you, you can consider applying to these. And now where to find them. So basically there are a lot of websites you can search for these accommodations. First thing, the student dorm is usually just the website of the university. You usually like fill in a form and send your application. And if you're eligible to get into a student room, then they will send you an email probably. But yeah, this is if you're searching for a student room. And if you're searching for a WG or an apartment, you will have to go to the private market. And here, WG gesucht is basically the most popular option. There are also like Emo Scout 24 or eBay or even Facebook groups. But I'd say, yeah, I just used WG gesucht. I found my accommodation there. Yeah, it's basically, let's say if you want a student dorm, you go to the student dorm website. And if you want a WG or apartment, just go to WG gesucht. And when you're going to apply, you're gonna have to gather some documents, probably, which are like your ID, some sort of identification, and also your landlord will probably ask for you for a proof of your financial resources as a proof you can like pay, and they're usually your blocked account here is enough. And here is very important that you must know that the landlord will basically look for someone respectful who can pay on time, obviously, and who is easy to communicate with, who won't cause any problems. And I'm telling you this because your message will have to mention these things, that you were able to do all of this. And about the message you're going to send for the application, like in WG gesucht, for example, do not start conversations by sending like generic messages like, is this room available? Or I want to know more about this room, like things like this, okay? These usually get ignored. Instead, you should write something to introduce yourself, your name, your age, and your country. So, what you're going to study, or what you currently study, and where. And also other things like your hobbies, and if necessary, also the date you're going to move in and the duration. Also, mention that you are like friendly, responsible in these things, okay? So, for example, there was a message I used to send when I was applying for rooms here, when I was going to study in a Studienkolleg. and I'll share it with you guys. I'll leave in the description, okay? So you can simply copy and paste it, but you will probably have to modify some words or phrases. And you can see that it was like just me presenting myself and nothing like very complex, but it was enough to get me the room I wanted. So you can check it out in the description. And here also very important how to avoid scams, right? I think it's rare, but like they happen and you must pay attention to that. Usually things like them refusing video calls, not wanting to show the room, or wanting you to pay before you see the contract, or saying something like my cousin will send you the keys. Okay, when you hear these kind of things, pay attention because it's probably not a good idea. Also, price, okay? If the price is very low, like if it's in the center of the city and it's lower than the others, you have to pay attention to that. So the safe practices would be like not to send money before seeing the contract or visiting the apartment. And like that means either a personal visit or an online visit. Also, check the landlord's name online. You can just search for their name. This way you can see like if they are really a real person. And Google the address, like you search in Google Maps. I did this, like I checked the pictures the landlord sent me and I matched them with what I could see from the street view in Google Maps to make sure the place like really existed. And turns out it actually did. But if you can visit the place personally or have someone visit it for you, it's usually better, okay? Also, only pay the deposit, like the caution, after the contract is signed, okay? Not before. And now the final strategy to find an accommodation. So you should start searching for houses months before your arrival in Germany. For me, for example, 4 months after my classes started, I was already like searching for apartments and WGs, and I used basically only WG gesucht, and I would like visit the page twice or even thrice a day, like the page specifically for WGs in Kaiserslautern. Like I used the filters so that when a room was posted, I applied immediately. Like I visited it very often, multiple times a day, and I recommend you guys to do that. And then after that, if they respond to you, always try to answer them as quickly as possible. In WG gesucht specifically, when someone answers your message, you get an email. So basically, you have to check these two things multiple times in a day, okay? Which are the WG gesucht website itself to see if someone posted a new room, and your email, okay? To see if someone answered your message, and then you can like answer again very fast. And some final advices also: keep applying consistently, okay? You can expect usually tens of applications. I myself, I must have sent like 20 or so. Also, of course, be polite, okay? And answer quickly. And yeah, check frequently for updates and new posts, okay? So I hope this video helped you guys, and I see you in the next one.